is Abdul Rahman. I'm a lecturer at a public university in Kenya. I deliver lectures in computing and informatics. In our last lesson, we talked about the user-defined type 3 function, and basically we had seen that it actually takes an argument, and that particular argument, we had seen it takes up an argument parameter list and actually has got a return data type. So has got no return data type. So today we are going to talk about what is type 4 user-defined function, and in that particular journey we are going to define what is type 4 user-defined function, what is the syntax, and how can we implement it in C programming. So let's start up with the first part of it. So basically we are saying type 4 user-defined function, it actually involves having up an argument. So it has got an argument. An argument will take up a parameter list of any of the primary data types, such as integer, char, or a float, and so many others. And also number 2, it should actually have what we call a return data type. So it should have actually a return data type, and also the return data type should also involve all the data types excluding what we call a void. So it cannot take void, and even argument cannot be void. So basically that's what we are talking, and this actually leads us to the syntax. The syntax, it should have a very simple data type, then you should have a function name, and then you should have a parameter list. And basically when you're talking about here, we cannot have void. So void, it is not allowed here, neither void it is allowed here. So for both of them, you should have either the primary data types, like integer, char, or float. So both of them, they should take one of these. After taking up one of that, then we have opening bracket and closing bracket, and then you're going to have our body here, and then that particular body is going to be terminated. And this now leads us to how are we going to implement it. So basically we are going to tell up a user to enter 2 integers or 2 numbers actually to divide. So how will our function type 4 look like? So it will look like this. Maybe you are going to have an int, and then we call it div or dev, int dev. Then it should take up 2 parameter list, let's say int a and int b. So it has got a return data type, also it has got parameter list. So in that particular one, basically what are we saying? We are saying in a very simple manner, it is that we should have another variable here to hold our division. So we'll have int divide should be equal to a divided by b, and then basically here we can have our printf, and this particular printf is going to print for us the division of the 2 numbers equals to %d. And then basically here we are going to have our divide and terminate. How are we going to call up this particular function? This particular function expects a return value. So maybe we are going to make up int result to hold our function which is called dev, and this dev we should pass on our two numbers, num1 and num2. So basically we are passing on our function into another variable in order for it to execute. So let's see how are we going to implement that in a dev C++. So basically here we have to declare our function. So here we can declare our function as int div. So we're having our int x and our int y, and then all statement must be terminated, so it terminates. And then now we come to the definition. So our definition would be int dev, our int x and int y, and then we open and close the bracket. So we are opening and closing up the bracket, and then we're writing up the logic on the body of this particular function. And the logic is very simple. We are saying int division. In the division we are passing on our x divided by y. So you should take out this particular comment, x divided by y, and we are just printing up our results. So printf, what are we printing? The division of two integers equals to, and then we have up our format specifier, and then we are passing on our variable called division, and then we terminate. So basically this is the logic. Now how do we call it? So by calling it here, we can say int num or int n1 or int num1 num2, and we should have a result whereby we have to pass it on to our function. And here basically we are putting up a printf. We are telling up the user to enter two integer to divide. So all statement must be terminated. So using up a scanf to capture the two integers, we're saying percentage, we are saying percentage %d, and then again percentage %d. Then according to the syntax, we are passing on to the address of num1 and the address of num2. So how do we call? So num2, so this is how we are going to call. We are calling it by passing it because it expects a return value. So we are saying our result should be equal to, now we are calling up our dev function, and in our dev function we are passing on the num1 and we are passing on the num2. So basically this is how we call type 4 user defined function. So let's run and see what will happen? So when we run this particular program, yes, it runs and it tells us enter two numbers to divide. So we are entering two numbers. Here we are entering 50 and we are entering 25, and actually it tells us the division of the two integer, it is 2. So that actually makes up the end of the user defined function. In our next lesson, basically we are going to talk about recursive function. So however, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, thank you.